Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome to the show. I am Brett the Jet in the booth here with Turn 3 Racing Network, and tonight we have a good one here. It is, I believe, the shortest track on the schedule. We head to the paperclip under the lights. That's right, folks. It's going to be some short track beating and banging here at the Martinsville Speedway under the lights here. Tonight we have 22 cars getting ready to do battle here for 150 laps. And at the conclusion of tonight, folks, we will be halfway done in the regular season. So we'll start keeping an eye on the points for those top 12 spots. As right now it looks like Zach Mitchell, right now the best time here in practice. We'll see if that 8 machine can do it once again here as qualifying about to get underway. Best lap of the two will determine these drivers' starting order. As of course next week a wild card race. They have the NASCAR trucks at the Circuit of America, then Milwaukee Mile, Chicagoland Speedway, Kentucky, and then ending the regular season at Talladega, probably the biggest wild card race. And of course on the line is of course trying to get into the top 12 for a chance at the championship here for season 17. As we wait for cars to get on the speedway here, let's take a look at one here. It's the 81 machine. This is Ken Allen. Ken here at the stripe will be on the clock here, so we'll have to see what kind of lap he can do. And I tell you what, these Xfinity cars, very, very tough around this place. You want to get as much rear brake as you can, but not too much, and have these things wheel hop and loop around, because you can get into a roadblock situation very, very quickly. As interesting here, Ken Allen, first lap thrown it away. You saw him go very wide in 3 and 4. He's putting all his eggs in one basket here. He's going for it here on lap number 2. Right now, Chris Hammett with the best lap with a 19:29. Allen across the stripe. He will definitely improve, and by almost a full second, he will walk away with a 19.57. That puts him just outside of the top 5 here. Now we look at the 88. This is Sean Butler. Butler, one of the guys looking for his first win of this season, has been very fast at multiple tracks, and Butler hoping it comes all together here tonight under the lights. As we see Butler out of turn 4 for the final time, he will improve just a little bit. Good enough for a top 5 with a 19.36. And we see the 62 machine. This is Ethan Troutman. Troutman at the stripe here. First lap in the books, good enough for a 19.51. Puts him just inside of the top 10. We'll see if he can find some more speed here. Lap number 2. It does seem like lap number 2 a little bit better. These tires a little bit more up to 10. So Troutman at the stripe for the final time here in qualifying improves, but just a little bit. He will stay P number 9. And we take a look here at last week's winner, Jeffrey Souza. He's locked into the playoffs with the win. Lap number 1 for Souza, good enough, 19.79. We'll see if he can improve here on lap number 2. But right now, Chris Hammett looking pretty at the top of the board. Souza will improve just outside the top 10. He will go P number 11 with a 5.3 here. And it looks like most people already done with qualifying. We'll wait to see if we have any late takers down on pit road. It looks like yes, we will. He was waiting for some screen time maybe. It's Dalton Williamson in the 61 machine. Williamson here will take the green flag. His first lap now clicking away. And as you guys can see, laps very quickly gonna go by here tonight, sub 20 seconds. So this race will be over before you know it. But these drivers gonna have to work hard because hard braking, a lot of steering, and you don't want to light those tires up too often when it comes to a long green flag run. Williamson, lap number 1, good enough for a 5.7. He will come off of turn number 4 for the final time here in qualifying. And it looks like he will improve all the way up to P7 with a 19.40 for the 61 machine of Dalton Williamson. So it looks like that will do it for the most part here in qualifying. In the number 6 machine, Chris Hammett will walk away with the quick time here tonight. So congrats to Chris. He will be leading the field to green flag. I tell you what, here at Martinsville, it is a great feeling to be leading the field to green flag. As that will wrap it on up here for qualifying. I mean, true, Brandon, it could be good evening, good afternoon. I mean, it all depends where people are tuning on in. But yeah, I guess technically it could be good evening. But hopefully it'll be a great evening for these racers. At least one person it will be. The rest of the field, I don't know. As we now get ready to head trackside and run through tonight's Celeratus starting lineup. Here tonight is the Celeratus Legal starting lineup. Chris Hammett in the number 6 machine. We saw him pop on up there here right before. He's walking away with the quick time with that 19.29 to his outside. Zach Mitchell, fast in practice. He's going to be another force to be reckoned with. That number 8 Ford Mustang rolling off to his outside. Then we head to row number 2, that being the 86 machine of James Skelton, and to his outside, the number 2 machine of Michael Trevarthen. Then rolling off P number 5 will be the 88 of Sean Butler, and to his outside, a great qualifying effort from this guy. It is William Kirk in that Miller Genuine Draft number 9 machine. Rolling off P number 7 will be the 61 of Dalton Williamson. To his outside will be Max Terriel in the 42 machine. Sean Single in the 11 will roll off 9th, and rounding out the top 10 will be the 01 of Richard Murdoch. Rolling off P number 11, that will be Ethan Troutman in the 62 machine, and to his outside will be Jeffrey Souza, last week's winner, in the number 4. 13th will go to the 81 machine of Ken Allen. 14 is Ben Coltes in the 45. Brandon Feeney in the 38 machine will roll off 15th. 16th going to the 13 of Josh Buckley. Then rolling off 17th will be Tony Strano in the 3. Eric Johnson in the 33 rolling off 18th. 19th going to the 17 car of Tim Combs. 20th is Rob Higgins in the 40. Then 21st is Bob Higgins in the 30. And Trent Potter in the 18 machine. Looks like missing the call here. So 21 cars taking the green flag here tonight. Lights are out around the Martinsville Speedway. So folks, that means one thing. We are going green flag racing. This time by restart here in Chris Hammett's hands. And we get ready to go to battle for 150 laps. A lot on the line. Here we go, folks. Off at turn number 4, the field will come. Chris Hammett waiting on the loud pedal. He goes. We go green flag racing here at Martinsville. Field will dive down here into turn number 1. So far, so good. It is very tough here in either lane, as because the outside you got to judge here where the car to your inside is, how much they're moving up, and then the inside. You start getting into some big time bottleneck situations very, very quickly. Lap number 1 down and in the books. One car way up into the wall. I believe that's the number 9 machine of William Kirk. So Kirk getting the piece of it, I think, on corner entry there. So he will lose a lot of spots. We'll file into here around the 13th position. So for the most part, out in front, single file front two, then James Skelton trying to keep Michael Trevarthen at bay. Sean Butler right there. And then a lot of single file action till we get back to this 81 machine of Ken Allen and the 4 of Jeffrey Souza. So Souza up top, Allen down low. They would drag race down the backstretch here, and looks like Souza, I was going to say had the slight advantage, but he is way wide there in 3 and 4. He will lose a handful of spots now as he finally able to slap back in line, but still on the wrong side of the freight train, as Souza now losing spots very quickly, as now you see the 13 machine of Josh Buckley here to the inside. Buckley, a little bit of a prankster, a little bit of a funny guy with it being April Fool's. He has a special sponsor on the car that I'll just let you do the reading here. As we head up to the front, Chris Hammett leading all 7 laps so far in the show. Zach Mitchell hot on his tail here in second, has not let that 6 car get away at all. James Skelton here looking for win number 2 of the season. He sits in a solid 3rd place. Trevarthen 4th, and Sean Butler rounding out the top 5. And interesting here, folks, top 5 exactly how they started here. Have not switched up any spots yet, so we'll keep an eye on that, as it seems like everyone judging their pace based on the cars around them, as we have single filed out here quickly. Everyone, like I said, trying to keep these race cars underneath them, hit their marks, make sure they're bringing their car at least pretty solid until, you know, the last 30 or so laps. Then the gloves start coming off. You're at the line, already 10 laps here in the books. You see Trevarthen closing the gap here on Skelton, about 2 car lengths down these straightaways. So Trevarthen looking to try and be on the move, definitely giving some pressure to this 86 machine. And this place definitely, when I'll talk to these drivers after the race, one thing they'll definitely say is this is a big time rhythm track. You always want to be braking, wheel, and getting on the throttle around the same parts, because once you start pushing even that extra half car length, these things are such on the edge of their seats that it can really spell trouble for you in a hurry. As we get some camera angles, we'll have to see once we jump off board with the number 2 machine. I mean, you can watch these brake rotors here tonight really start glowing, especially under the lights here on Martinsville, just how aggressive these guys are on these brakes when it comes to corner entry. And one thing you'll tell too, if you look at both front and rear rotor, they're about glowing the same. So these guys using a good amount of rear brake to try and get these cars rotated at this short track. Well, 1 car high up here in 3 and 4, that's 11, a single. Able to keep that car underneath and not lose any spots, but that closes up Richard Murdoch in this 01 machine right to his back bumper. Looks like single back in a rhythm here, able to now try and drive away from him, but you can see a little bit of gap to the top 7. These guys all kind of running nose to tail. Then an A. Sean single gap to him, Richard Murdoch kind of on their own island. Then Ethan Troutman kind of bringing on this 3rd group that has a lot of cars in it. I think most of these guys looking at the big picture saying, hey, we went green till now. I think we got to back it off, save this right front, save this right rear, and make sure we have something at the end of it. Because if this goes green, we're looking about 70 laps on these tires before these drivers have to come in and fill up with the virtual Sunoco race fuel. Heading back up to the front here, Chris Hammett getting a little bit of breathing room over Zach Mitchell, about half a second now gap for the race lead, as Hammett last couple times by about a 10th faster than Mitchell, and Skelton about a 10th faster as well. So Maybe Mitchell handling might be just starting to go away on this car, and you'll definitely start to see it here from lap 20 to 40. Who really pushed here will definitely start to feel it in their car, and we'll have to see who's comers and who's goers at that point. But Zach Mitchell has to be careful here. Doesn't want to get stuck on the outside because there's a long train of cars behind, and once you get stuck out on the high side, it is very difficult unless you're making a very rash move. It is very difficult to get back down to that inside preferred line here tonight. Maybe Mitchell was just listening to me there live as he picked up the pace once again right when we looked to him about even with the race leader and the car behind. So maybe he was just trying to cool off those tires for a second. As one car we see dropping on back. There we go. We see Jeffrey Souza stopped here in the corner. Last week's winner at Pocono with a lot of damage to that number 4 machine. Not the way that number 4 machine wanted to try and go back to back. As we take a look here and see what happened, I think maybe happened a little bit in front as we take a look here at the number 4 here, 1 and 2. So here they go coming off at turn 4. We have Feeney in front, Souza, then Josh Buckley. We see Souza dive it in there as it looks like Feeney just gets loose in front, and then everyone tries to make evasive maneuvers. The 3 of Tony Strano gets it sideways, able to go on the apron, and yeah, kind of Souza and Buckley nowhere to go, just trying to take evasive maneuvers and wrong place at the wrong time here. As we see big time strategy as right around the top 5 on back down on pit road. And that leaves the top 5 of Chris Hammett, Zach Mitchell, James Skelton, Max Terriel, and Sean Single all out on the track. Everyone else rolling off of pit road here. Michael Trevarthen, first car, going to be on 2 sets of tires. So a lot of strategy being played. Some 2 tires, some 4 tires. I believe the first car with 4 will be the 88 of Sean Butler. So a lot to keep in mind here, as this is about to get fun, folks. So under the yellow flag here for the first time here tonight, a kind of smaller incident just based on Martinsville, how quickly things can happen. As we saw 38 get a little bit of wheel hop, he will spin on around and collect a few other cars. It looks like everyone's still able to get out on track as Souza back out on track. Will dive down pit road, get some more repairs as that bumper cover still hasn't made it back on the race car. Yeah, it does look like that, Doug, as the number 13 machine of Buckley, yeah, coming in there hot with that sponsorship. So Chris Hammett so far leading all the laps here tonight at Martinsville. This time by, we should get the 1 to go signal from the officials. Lights should go out on the iRacing pace car, and yes they do. So we will re-rack, restack, and get them ready to go back green flag racing here next time by. And the guys we got to keep an eye for on this restart, rolling off in 6th place, Michael Trevarthen, first guy on fresh tires, taking 2. Then the car behind him, Sean Butler, first car on 4 fresh tires. So we'll have to keep an eye on the pace of those guys and see what's more important, tires or track position. But off of turn number 4, Chris Hammett leading the field. He will get a great restart here, and we go back to green flag racing action as Zach Mitchell able to find a gap here just in turn number 1. He will be back down on the inside. Looks like Skelton able to get in front of Terriel for 3rd as, heads up, some contact here, beating and banging. As we see Terriel try and throw a little bit of a block, Trevarthen will dive it on in there. They will bang doors at the apex. Trevarthen trying to use up this new set of right side tires. So Trevarthen back into P number 4 from where he started, but better tires than the cars around him. Especially if we get a long green flag run, it's only a matter of time before he runs them on down. As you see Sean Signal on those old tires, hung out to dry on the top side, as Sean Butler will try and get around. So Single able to find a gap here behind Butler. That will slide him back to P number 9. As we are already a fifth of the way done with tonight's race. As best lap by anyone on the Speedway here tonight goes to this number 2 machine of Trevarthen, last time by a 19.54. So this number 2 machine says, I got these new right sides on. We're wasting no time using them on up, as we see now a battle for third place as Trevarthen will drive by easily. Now sets his sights on the top 2. So it definitely seems like Trevarthen on a mission with these tires, kind of the opposite strategy. Sean Butler taking his time through this field, as we see Butler get in the back of Terriel there. That will move the 42 machine up, and you see some contact there off the corner as Terriel shows his displeasure to the number 8. More beating and banging here as Terriel almost Terriel hard into the wall and heads up field as more will get collected on the backstretch. Man, we saw that one coming for a minute there. Terriel not happy with Butler, and then sadly for Ben Coltis and Ken Allen, nowhere to go. As those guys will get going, but it looks like Max Terriel, his night will come to an early end here. As we will try and get a replay here outside of the car and see what happened there through turns 1 and 2. So here we go. We see the displeasure there off of turn number 4, the 42 into the side of the 88. And then it continues here into turn 1 and 2 as Butler on those newer tires. Terriel just trying to hang on to as much as he can as Terriel tries to maybe fill a gap that wasn't quite there to maybe slide back in the 88 machine. And it looks like the 01 machine of Murdoch will get into the back of him. And then Ben Coltis, Ken Allen, Josh Buckley just nowhere to go. Some significant damage to probably the 81 and 45, but a tough break for all the cars, getting a little bit more damage in there. So we fall under the second yellow flag here tonight as Chris Hammett still out in front leading the way, and looks like not too many takers down pit road. So Hammett, Mitchell, Williamson, I think Williamson is on new tires. Yes, he is. So maybe Sean Single seeing the difference in times and saying, you know what, it's just not worth it yet to come down pit road. So these guys will stay on out. Like I said, they're looking till at least lap 80, 85 to make their final stops, but fuel only good for about 70 laps. So it's going to be very, very close. As we see a couple cars down on pit road getting some repairs. Jeffrey Souza involved in the first yellow flag down on pit road. We have Trent Potter in the Bass Pro Shops number 88 machine getting some work done. Same with the 45 and the 81, getting some extensive repairs to those cars. You saw them make some pretty significant contact to the inside wall. So under the yellow flag for the second time here tonight, as once again kind of started with a single car but quickly grew into a multi-car accident, as things here at Martinsville happen very, very quickly. As speaking about things happen quickly, here we go, folks. Lights are out on the iRacing pace car and around the Martinsville Speedway. We get ready to go back green flag racing, and I tell you what, if we make it through the first lap, I don't like to do it too early, but if we make it through the first lap, we'll take a break from hearing my voice and we'll do a little turn 3, turn it up. As front row here, it's been the same all night so far. Chris Hammett leading the field to green, Zach Mitchell to his outside. Michael Trevarthen, though, up to third with those fresh tires. Sean Butler right behind Trevarthen with 4 fresh ones. Here we go. We wait for Hammett. Once again, a great restart from the number 6. Zach Mitchell may not have the gap. He won't. Mitchell will get stuck on the outside. Trevarthen with those better tires should have the advantage here as they dive down here into turn number 3. Sean Butler going to try and fill in that gap as much as he can to keep Mitchell to the high side. We go complete lap 40 at the stripe here, and with this, let's turn it on up. We come back here, folks, to a new race leader. That is right. Michael Trevarthen with those 2 fresh right side tires has taken over the lead, but he is in hot pursuit up with Sean Butler right on his tail with the 4 tire option that first yellow, let's say. Chris Hammett able to hang on to P number 3 on those old tires. Dalton Williamson up to 4th in the 61 machine. He as well took 2 tires on that first yellow flag, and Zach Mitchell, rounding out the top 5, did not take any tires yet, able to hang on to P number 5. So with them not taking tires, that leaves them an extra set at the end for maybe a green-white checker, but I think, once you start getting into that lap, even 50 to 30 mark, you really start thinking about track position over tires, because you can see here, these guys still able to hang on to a top 5 run, even though everyone's now single filed out. Everyone's running the pace that they think will be fast, as we see William Kirk here in the number 9 machine racing his way back up to the field. We saw Kirk get in the wall there, lap number 1. He has a decent amount of right side damage, but he's currently back in the top 10 here, trying to get 9th here from the 62 at Troutman. You can see, until these guys are kind of door to door, it's pretty much whoever's in front kind of has an advantage here tonight. You can make the top side work for a couple laps here at Martinsville, but as soon as these guys get into drag racing situations door to door, that inside line's definitely where you want to be. As we take a look at the 86 machine, James Skelton down that last stop, so slightly fresher tires on this 86 machine, but having to go through a lot of cars here tonight. But already back up in the P number 11 position, gonna try and reel in the number 9 here in front, try and get himself back in the top 10. So out in front, Trevarthen and Butler have kind of set sail, checked out to the rest of the field here. As Butler not letting Trevarthen get away, save his stuff. He's going to keep the pressure on this number 2 machine, keeping that about 2 to 3 car length gap. As we see, interesting, I saw it a couple times here, but Butler doing the kind of late entry, letting the car really wait to rotate, then arcing it down late. and then trying to get as straight run off as he can. So 2 different lines from the top 2. We got to keep an eye on this, see who will, let's say, have the better tires with it, as Butler's line can be better, but especially with iRacing, it really depends on that wheel input. So you got to be very careful not to overwork those front tires trying to get that car down to that inside lane when it is corner exit time. It looks like for the most part everyone's single filed out here. James Skelton able to get into the top 10, now up to 9th as he closes in on the back bumper of the 01 machine, and now going to be in some heavy traffic, and especially now it gets very hard to pass these drivers in front of him. As here we go, Trevarthen says, "This pace little too quick for me." He will let Sean Butler go on by, so our 3rd new race leader here tonight. Sean Butler leading at the stripe here to complete lap 55. So it looks like maybe that 4 tire stop the right call here, but we got to keep an eye on this 6 as it starts to close up to that pit window. We'll probably be down in about 20 laps or less to make his first pit stop of the night. You gotta be careful, because if you pit under green flag and a yellow comes out, you can go 2 to 3 laps down in a hurry with how quickly laps go on by here tonight. So Hammett still able to defend from Williamson. Williamson right to the back bumper of the 6 machine. So I think it's only a matter of time before Hammett says, man, these tires begging for mercy. This 61's got to get on by at some point. Here on lap 60, let's take a seat in the stands. That's right, folks. It's the fan cam here at Martinsville Speedway under the lights here. And you look at these drivers kind of diving down into turn 1 onto the backstretch here, and especially at a short track, you can easily see all these cars go on by, but this is kind of what it's like to be in the fan here at Martinsville Speedway, and just shows you just how quickly these guys are clicking off laps here tonight. James Skelton now on the back bumper of Sean Single. This will be a battle for 6th when that time comes on around. So Skelton trying to race his way back into the top 5. He did not pit. First yellow pitted on the 2nd yellow. Pretty much the only driver to do so. So Skelton on his own strategy here tonight. The big advantage for Skelton, if this race goes green, he can wait to go down pit road about 10 laps later than the rest of the field. So he could be sitting pretty if, you know, something happens with drivers trying to get down pit road, because I can bet most of these drivers did not practice too much on pit road entry here. As we see once again the battle for 3rd place heating on up. Dalton Williamson all over the back bumper of Chris Hammett. That's right on board with Hammett looking back at the 61 machine. So on board with our pole sitter currently running in 3rd, and you hear Hammett there light up the tires. Here comes Dalton Williamson. As you can tell, Hammett's tires definitely going in. Hammett goes around here tonight. Hammett around here in 1 and 2 with these old tires, just got out of the groove. It looked like a little bit too much up in the marbles, and even though he will go at the back, it is a good thing that came out for him. He's able to get some new tires, but we'll have to go through a lot of cars here tonight as we take a look here and see what happened here into turn number 1. As you see, Hammett already lighting up the rear tires. Those tires going to be extra hot, so when he gets on the brakes, those tires hot, slick, slimy, and then gets up in those marbles and maybe even that transition. You see that right rear in that concrete asphalt transition. And there especially, there is no grip. So I am not surprised that car came around as quickly as it did with that right rear where it was placed. It looks like one car staying on out. Brandon Feeney getting a bonus point. But now a busy pit road as we see everyone down. We'll keep an eye at the end of lane and see who wins the race off of pit road. So this pit stop just shy of drivers making it to the end as we see Sean Butler win the race off of pit road, then Trevarthen, Dalton Williamson, Sean Single, and then Zach Mitchell. Looks like we'll be the top 5 off of pit road. So third yellow flag tonight, a surprisingly one-car incident. I gotta give the field props for that evasive maneuvers by everyone. A lot of heads-up driving there. That could have been very bad, especially spinning across the racing groove like that, but everyone did an awesome job avoiding the 6 there. And you don't hear too many times that a one-car incident happens here at Martinsville, so gotta give these drivers a big pat on the back for that one here. But third yellow here tonight when it came out just before lap 70. That means these guys just short on fuel, so we'll probably see everyone down at least one more time. And that's gonna make it real interesting. We'll see if some drivers can slow up the pace just enough to try and stretch it to the end, but I have a gut feeling we'll at least see the yellow cloth out at least one more time here. Also, if you guys are wondering, tuning on in, the 81 machine of Ken Allen is a lap down, but will get waved around the pace car with 1 lap to go. So our race leader, Sean Butler, then Dalton Williamson will start on the outside front row. Sean Single will roll off third on the restart. Fourth going to Zach Mitchell. And then James Skelton rounding out the top 5 here. And I got to give this guy a shout out. Eric Johnson in this number 33 machine has quietly been making his way up through the field, but been putting on a great show with it. Up 12 spots from where he started, just outside this top 5. So Eric Johnson looking good and may have something here by the end of this one. So here we go, first restart of the night where it's not Hammett and Mitchell on the front row. Butler leading the way, Williamson up top. Through 3 and 4, the field will come. Sean Butler will wait on a jump on the loud pedal here. And we go back to green flag racing. Looks like Williamson not quite able to get clear. Single here off of turn number 4. 2 though, yes he will. Further on back, looks like Eric Johnson able to slot in front of the 01 machine of Murdoch, but as more cars kind of file in from the top side, that is what creates the really bottlenecks on this inside lane, with guys just forcing their way to those inside lanes. As we see a pretty good night running from Rob Higgins in this number 40 machine. He is up 8 spots from where he started, as he's looking pretty good, trying to get around Tony Strano in that number 3 machine. And back here we see our pole sitter Chris Hammett bringing out the most recent yellow. Oh, and Michael Trevarthen back here. So I think Trevarthen may have, no, I think he did some strategy. I think Trevarthen came in to top on off, thinking about the big picture. So we'll have to keep an eye on these two, see how this strategy plays out. Out in front though, Sean Butler trying to get himself some breathing room here early. About just under half a second advantage over Dalton Williamson, but then Williamson about 3/4 of a second advantage over Sean Single. Single would love himself a podium here tonight, get some good points when looking at that points race, because the way I am looking at it, right around that 12th spot, Dalton Williamson sitting there with 96 points, Brandon Feeney with 93 and 13, tied with Eric Stout with 93 as well. Sean Butler down around there as well. So if Butler picks up the win here tonight, that locks him into the playoffs. Doesn't even have to worry about points racing in the second half of the season. Zach Mitchell starting to turn up the pressure on the back bumper of the 11. We'll keep an eye here on this battle as, wow, I didn't even know laps are clicking off so fast tonight. We are already halfway done in tonight's race here at Martinsville. And if you're just tuning on in here tonight, I was saying before in the pre-race, let's say, that tonight will be the halfway point in the regular season for these drivers. So drivers going to start to pay a lot more attention to those top 12 spots and those points, because every point will matter by the end of this one. Unless, of course, you win and then you're automatically locked in and take all that weight off of your shoulders. As we see Sean Single once again turning it back up here. He's able to drive away from the 8 just that little bit, but here comes James Skelton to throw his hat into the mix. We ride on board with the number 86 machine there as you see Zach Mitchell get a little bit loose off of turn number 2 there. Skelton will look to the inside, show his car into that left side mirror of that number 8 and just try and put that little bit of extra pressure on him as we see Skelton last couple laps by in the 19.9s. That's about the pace everyone else is running here tonight. Skelton able to turn up that last lap, and I think that last lap there, folks, he was the fastest car on the speedway there as we see Sean Single trying out that second group. Don't know if on purpose or not, but he was up there and made it work halfway decent as we see these guys now searching around the speedway here, trying to find that grip. Further on back, we see some battling here. The 6 of Chris Hammett and Michael Trevarthen making their way through this field. Just got around the number 9 of William Kirk. That moves Kirk just outside of the top 10 here into P number 11. And Kirk looking for a good run here, has been flown around the top 10 all night here tonight. And I think would love himself a top 10 finish, especially at a tough track like Martinsville here. Take a look here at a battle with 7th and 8th. Richard Murdoch leading Ethan Troutman, but Troutman looking to try and get around Murdoch because I'm sure he sees in his mirror Chris Hammett, Michael Trevarthen on a big time charge behind, so he may want to try and get around Murdoch sooner than later. Battle now for P number 4 as James Skelton went around Zach Mitchell. So Skelton now going to try and reel in Sean Single. So speaking while we're up here, we'll run through the top 5 here. Sean Butler continuing to lead the way, has taken over the race lead, has not looked back. Dalton Williamson running in second, having himself a great night here. Sean Single, another great night for this number 11 machine, hoping to hang on to it. James Skelton currently now up to P number 4, and Zach Mitchell rounding out the top 5. Eric Johnson hanging on to P number 6. Richard Murdoch in 7th. 8th, Ethan Troutman. 9, Chris Hammett. And rounding out the top 10 is Michael Trevarthen. And folks, it's going to look a little crazy, but we'll pull up the track map here on the right side of your screen. You can see leaders starting to get close to lap traffic. You see where cars are kind of bunched on up, where they are spread on out here tonight. And of course, with the Martinsville track map, you definitely see where it gets the name the paperclip. I mean, it doesn't get much similar than that as we saw there. Chris Hammett looking for a move on Ethan Troutman. Here we go, 4-car battle from 7th to 10th here. As these guys just trying to figure out the limit of these tires here, especially now they got some good wear in them. These cars aren't turning as good as when they slapped on the 4 fresh tires. A little bit more tricky to get on the power. As we see Chris Hammett roll through 3 and 4 very nicely, but Troutman able to put the power down as well. Hammett not able to get the run, and that's pretty much what you need. You need to be able to just roll that apex just that half mile an hour faster, able to get on that power just a little bit more, and then just be able to kind of shove that nose to the inside of the car in front of you. Or as this race goes on, we'll definitely see some people use the bumper a little bit more. As we see Sean Butler now starting to get into some lap traffic. The 30 machine of Bob Higgins will go a lap down. Of course, very gentleman-like, get out of the way, cause no issues, slide in nicely. So love to see that here, as now the 88 will catch the 81 and do the exact same move here. And then now we'll try and put the 17 to Tim Combs 1 lap down. Sean Butler out in front, but Dalton Williamson has not let him get on away. Williamson now closing in the gap to about 0.3 of a second. So Williamson trying to be a factor before it's said and done. And he would love himself a win as well, because I'll try and find him in the points here. He sits right on the cutoff line of 12th, so he would love a win to just lock himself in, not have to worry about results for the second half of the regular season. So top 2 racing for a lot, either on the cutoff line or just on the outside looking in. They know tonight might be their best opportunity with the schedule. Alrighty, folks. And maybe we're going around too many times. My brain's starting to get confused, but we still have now under 50 laps to go here tonight. Everyone sorting themselves out. We see Hammett did get around Ethan Troutman in those last couple laps. Trevarthen able to follow him through. Now they're setting their sights on the 01 machine, and Hammett having to make a little bit of evasive maneuvers not to get in the back of the 01, and I think Trevarthen almost thought about making a move there. Now here goes Hammett to the inside of Murdoch. There's a battle for P number 7 here, and they will drag race to the start finish line and down into turn number 1. Hammett pretty late on the brakes, able to keep that car pinned down to the inside, and Trevarthen says, "Thank you very much, Chris. I'll let you do all the hard work of setting up these cars. I'll just follow on through." Ethan Troutman will do the same, but Murdoch will shut the door hard. He says, "Troutman, if you want to go around, you got to go around the high side." Whoa, Michael Trevarthen, big time mistake there in 1 and 2, and that forces him to continue the battle with these 2 cars, as now he gets stuck on the high side. As Trevarthen will have to try and get around both these cars again. This allows Chris Hammett to get a little bit of breathing room from that 2 machine, and try and set up now Eric Johnson in that 33. And we see our first taker down on pit road. I believe safely down. That is the 13 machine of Josh Buckley. So first taker down on pit road. When does everyone else come? Because the smart thing to do for tires is, you know, split that last run up half and half and be able to go the same pace on both stints. But the crew chief in me says if we get, as we get the yellow flag, I was just about to say, if we get the yellow flag, then you get trapped a lap down and all sorts of bad things. But it looks like we get the yellow felt flying for the 4th time here tonight. And I believe it involved the 33 machine of Eric Johnson. Like I said, folks, Eric having a great run up until now. So we'll try and see what happened to the 33 machine. So Hammett and Johnson battling for P number 6. We'll see what happened here into turn number 1. And it looks like Johnson, kind of like Feeney did earlier here tonight, just got on the brakes a little bit too hard, probably watching the mirror a little bit too much of Hammett, and just had that thing go on around. Luckily, doing an awesome job keeping that car off of the wall, and everyone doing great evasive maneuvers not to get collected on in it. So another single car incident that could have definitely been a lot more, as we see race off of pit road. Sean Single here winning the race off of pit road in the 11. Zach Mitchell will roll off 2nd. Sean Butler 3rd. Dalton Williamson 4th. And it looks like at the moment Tim Combs up into 5th. Sean Single and Zach Mitchell both able to make up the spots because they decided to gamble and take 2 tires to the end. As this is where it gets wild, as Tim Combs does come down pit road, so that moves James Skelton up into P number 5. So Sean Single, new race leader, able to lead some laps here. And looking at the driver's standings, let's see if I can find where he's at. He sits P number 6, so pretty safe on the points number. But like I keep harping on, it's always great to get a win and take all that weight off of your shoulders just in case. So far, the highest running car that has won a race so far this season is our 5th place driver, James Skelton. Then Jeffrey Souza having a little bit of incident here for that first yellow, sits in 12th, and then Max Terrio out of tonight's race. So we will probably see a first-time winner this season by the end of it, unless James Skelton or Jeffrey Souza have something to say about it before the end of this one. But front row, Sean Single leading the field to green. Zach Mitchell to his outside. The field will make its way through turns 3 and 4, and Sean Single in control of the restart. Single on the loud pedal. We go back to green flag racing action. Single will be able to have a nice run here off of turn number 2. Sean Butler able to follow the way, move up into 2nd. That moves Zach Mitchell back into 3rd here, as Michael Trevarthen now back up just outside of the top 5 as one car big time sideways. That is the 9 of William Kirk. He somehow hangs onto that race car. What a save by William Kirk. That is probably the save of the season so far from that number 9 machine. Looked like just got in there a little bit too hot, slammed on the brakes, got that wheel hop, that is oh so classic here at Martinsville, but somehow not only kept his own car straight, but kept from collecting any other drivers. So an awesome run as we see here, battle for the race lead. Sean Butler on 4 tires, Sean Single on 2. They'll dive down. Single try to set him up for the crossover. Here we go. They'll drag race down the backstretch for the race lead. Single now down low. Butler once again stuck on the top side. Now Butler will try and do the same move. They will make contact on the bumper there, give him a little bit of shot. Butler just doesn't quite have the nose. He will send it in deep. He sent that thing in from a country mile back, able to make it mostly stick. Sean Butler now with the advantage on the inside, and everyone behind these front two loving what they're seeing. It's slowing them up and allowing them to try and make a move. At Single gonna try and send the same move on back. He will send it on down in there. Butler will try the crossover, mistimed it, so Sean Single back out in front. Butler with an aggressive block. Butler all out of sorts here in 3 and 4. Butler, you saw, had to make the move as Sean Single gets out of sorts, and he will lose the race lead. 1 car going around in the front. That is the 8 of Zach Mitchell. Wow, a lot is going on in a hurry here as this race starts to wrap on up. And I don't want to call myself like a man that can see a future or can tell or anything like that, but we just hit that 30 lap mark where the pin of the grenade started to get pulled. As we will see here, see what happened to Zach Mitchell to bring out our 5th yellow flag of the night. And I gotta agree, Jeremy, that was a hell of a save by Kirk there, as we see here off of turn number 4. I think Mitchell just worried about Butler there, trying to make some room for the 88, and Trevarthen just not being able to see that car and gets into the back of the 8, turns him facing the wrong way here on the racetrack, and that brings out the 5th caution here. And I think from this point on back, everyone made the tires, everyone good to go on fuel, so everyone gonna stay on out, try and keep that track position. As with all that craziness going on, Dalton Williamson out in front here tonight. And Sean Single, I know it's got to be a tough yellow flag for him to just lose the race lead like that. Then you get all this time to kind of pace around the racetrack, think about your mistake, and it can either really help you or really come back to bite you if you let it kind of fester on the brain. So we'll have to see how this 11 machine can fire on off, because now this also gives a chance for Sean Butler to once again join back in this battle. Butler will restart in the P number 4 position right behind the 11. So we get word from the tower, 2 to go till green. So extra pace lap now that we got a few cars trapped a lap down. Looks like at the moment 16 cars still on the lead lap here. And right now it's a tie for the biggest mover. That's still Eric Johnson, still hanging on to it, but now tied with the guy that will start behind him. And in the top 10 for the first time tonight is the 40 machine of Rob Higgins. I mean, I gotta give all these drivers props on the kind of everyone outside the top 5, from Murdoch, Troutman, Johnson, Kirk, Higgins, all of them having a great race. And then you have Brandon Feeney right there, Tim Combs looking to have a good night. So, but that can all change in a split second. You can see how quickly a race can go good to bad here at Martinsville. And we still have 25 laps to go at the stripe. We will go into the countdown clock But on the front row, Dalton Williamson leading the field to green. Sean Single to his outside. Can Single get the gap in front of Skelton to slide on down? We'll find out here as Williamson on the loud pedal. We go back to green flag racing. Single not able to get on down, so Skelton trying to get P number 2. Side-by-side battle for P number 2 here as Michael Trevarthen trying to go. Oh, you see Skelton slide up the racetrack. He gets in the side of Single. Oh, as Trevarthen goes on around, he will collect Butler and big time stack up in the field as Trevarthen big time damage to that number 2 machine. His race will probably be over with that, and with the 6 yellow flag, that is a big one there in 3 and 4. We'll take a look here as the field heads down to 3 and 4 here, and I think the 2 car just gets into that wheel hop. We saw it happen a lot here as Troutman looked to the inside and maybe caused him to miss his brake mark just by a half a car length, and Butler just gets tagged in and he will go around, but some big time hits for quite a few cars there as everyone tries to make evasive maneuvers. So it looks like our pole sitter Chris Hammett lucky dog this time, so that will move 17 cars up to the lead lap here. As now, folks, when we go back to green flag racing, it will be inside of 20 laps to go. So gloves will definitely be off at this point, and it's going to be a barn burner to the finish. And I think at this point, we're getting to there that we definitely need a further look out on the field here. As we get 21 to go, and I believe that time I get the 2 to go signal. Alrighty, folks, here we go. 20 to go, and we go back to green flag racing here tonight. As Williamson able to dive it down deep into turn number 1, get clear. Skelton will take over P number 2. Sean Single back into P number 3. As we will try and figure out where the 7th yellow flag came from, but I believe it looks like everyone rolling in the right direction, so Not sure where the yellow flag came out at. We'll try and find it out on track here tonight. As it looks like the number 3 machine of Tony Strano just getting that car out of sorts. Luckily, Chris Hammond and Trevarthen in the 81 and Ken Allen able to make evasive maneuvers here. As you can tell, that number 2 machine definitely very, very wounded, kind of looking like a dirt car out here at the Martinsville Speedway trying to pick up that left front. And I bet that car turns pretty good, but I'm sure trying to get on the power is a whole different story for Trevarthen. But out in front, Williamson got the restart he needed. Now Skelton will try and restart on the outside. Sean Single going to try and do what Skelton did last time and fill in that hole and not let him on by. Yeah, a little bit of server issues for a second there, but luckily it was under yellow flag, got them all hopefully sorted on out, and get ready for some good racing action now with inside of 15 laps to go. Luckily, not missing any green flag racing here, as I tell you what, this racing keeping me on the edge of my seats and hopefully you as well at home. As yeah, Murdoch right now as it sits, Jeremy, in the top 5 here, all the way up into P number 4. He's looking for a career best finish here this season, and he sets him up pretty nicely, especially if something crazy happens with these front leaders, because you know all it takes is missing your brake mark like we've seen a couple times here tonight, just by half a car length, getting some wheel hop, and then you could be like a bowling ball with some bowling pins and just hitting whatever is in front of you. As here we go, folks, lights are out around the Martinsville Speedway, and Dalton Williamson once again leading the field to green. Now James Skelton to his outside. Sean Single and Richard Murdoch round out row number 2. Then row number 3 is Ethan Troutman and William Kirk. I like that, Jeremy. I like that. Will be a big celebration if he can get up on in there. But here we go. A lot to be decided still with 12 laps to go at the stripe. Dalton Williamson will wait. He will jump on in here, and we go back to green flag racing. Skelton and Single side by side into turn number 1. Single with the advantage down low. Now here comes Troutman looking to the inside of Murdoch, as it looks like William Kirk able to get down to the inside in front of Brandon Feeney. So Dalton Williamson wants to see these guys side by side behind him as long as possible. Have them slow down each other so he can try and drive on away. Sean Single able to get clear. Will think about a block. Skelton will drive it in there deep, trying to get a nose there, and looks like not quite. Single will get the advantage. Now can he run down our race leader, Ethan Troutman, also around Richard Murdoch. Murdoch will file back into P number 10, as this time by we will be inside of 10 laps to go, make it 9 laps to go at the stripe. William Kirk trying to work around the 38 of Feeney as Kirk gets a little loose on entry. That slides him on up. Zach Mitchell will try and have the run on the outside as Feeney gets a piece of the curb. That slides him on up and opens back up the door for the number 9 machine. As Feeney big time sideways there, and he will loop it there in 1 and 2. And that will bring out our 8th yellow flag here of the night. And it's about to get a lot more crazy. We'll take a look here, see what happened going into turn number 1. But I think Feeney just Worried about Kirk to the left rear quarter panel. Just gets on the brakes a little bit too late here, and once again gets that wheel hop. That back end starts to come on around, and around that liquid moly machine goes, and oh, big time contact to that outside wall. That was a tough break for Feeney as he was putting himself together a pretty good run. So we should go back to green flag racing before we use up one of our attempts at a green white checkered. I believe there is 2 attempts at a green white checkered here tonight in this series, but not 100% sure, so we'll fly by the seat of our pants if we get there. But I'm hoping we get this thing done in regulation. But now we get 5 to go. I think we should be going back green with about 3 laps to go, and folks, it's gonna get wild at that point. So top 5 looking like the following: Dalton Williamson leading the way, then Sean Single in second, Ethan Troutman up into third, James Skelton fourth, and Richard Murdoch rounding out the top 5. 6th is William Kirk, 7th Zach Mitchell, 8th Eric Johnson, 9th Sean Butler, and then rounding out the top 10 is Tim Combs. So it looks like we'll be going back green flag racing with 2 to go. So it will be a unofficial green white checkered, but a green white checkered nonetheless, as we see the lights go out on the iRacing pace car. The field will re-rack, restack here, and we get ready to rock and roll. Dalton Williamson hoping to have another great restart. Has a lot riding on this here, folks. The front row looking for both of their first wins of the season. As here we go, folks. The field heads through turns 3 and 4. Dalton Williamson will wait. On the loud pedal he goes. We go back to our green white checker. William Kirk a little bit out of sorts on the restart. Single will get stuck to the outside of Troutman. They will drag race down the backstretch for second. Williamson just wants to see this white flag. If that's the case, this race goes official, as Williamson will see that it is the Feeney Call white flag here tonight. As we have one more lap to go, Dalton Williamson leads the way over Sean Single. Ethan Troutman hanging on to third, as further on back, cars bouncing all over the place. But through 3 and 4, Dalton Williamson picks up the win here tonight. Looks like Richard Murdoch with a tough break at the end. He will fall all the way back, and that is a tough break there, as Dalton Williamson picks up the win. And maybe some congratulatory taps, maybe not, but he will lock himself on in. I'm sure we'll see some good burnouts from the 61 machine here tonight at the stripe. And folks, your winner from Martinsville, Dalton Williamson, burning it down on the front stretch here tonight. He will burn it on down. Some cars sitting around the Speedway, and looks like trying to do the cow Larson, burning on down the whole lap here. It looks like his buddy Josh Buckley giving him a congratulatory tap there. But we will be talking to the top three here in just a minute. We'll be right back after our commercial break. Don't go anywhere. It's about to be the Claws Up Charters post-race show.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams, race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Alrighty, folks, we come back to the Martinsville Speedway, and we're going to be dialing up our third place finisher. We've talked to him a couple times already this season, but another one in the books. We are going to be talking to the 62, Ethan Troutman, here first. Ethan, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Yes, sir, I got you.
Alrighty, man. Well, talking to you again after another race, a pretty crazy race at that. Tell us about your race in this 150 lapper here at the Paperclip.
Yeah, it was pretty physical, what you'd expect from Martinsville, but the setup in the Xfinity car, it's a big block, so it's really tough to get it slowed down and turn through the corner. So that's caused a lot of tire sliding for some of the accidents that we saw.
Yeah, we saw a lot of people struggling with corner entry, you know, getting too much rear brake or getting on the brakes too late, getting that wheel hop and that thing coming around very quickly. I mean, how tough was it here to keep these cars underneath you, and especially if someone was putting pressure on that back bumper?
Yeah, you just had to be mindful of your brake point, because if you brake too early, they're in the back of you. You brake too late to try to distance yourself from them, and you're up off on the marbles up in the wall. I tried my best to stop that from happening. Obviously, trying to slow it down and get rotated, stay up on the curb. There were a lot of guys who were running about a lane up, and I just couldn't figure out how they were doing it. So I just went back to what I was comfortable with, is right up on that curb, and I think they helped me save a little bit of tire, and just kind of crept through some of those spins in that last run there, come home with back-to-back podiums.
Yeah, and I got to ask, how tough were those late race restarts, either starting on the outside, but it seemed like those last couple ones able to start on the inside, but still no cakewalk on the inside?
Yeah, it was it's kind of a gamble, honestly, getting a restart position here. I was behind the 11. He was on 2 tires, and the first restart, I was up on the outside, and I think he held me up a little bit, but that's the one after it, we started on the bottom, and I was behind him. We got going okay, and then that last restart for the green white checkered, I was doing my best to stay on the 61 to take off with him, hopefully get a chance to maybe bump and run, but between him and the 11, they were just gone. On those old tires, the restarts were had the tire spinning, and it was tough getting into the corner too, because on tires that old, we had not done any restarts on the old tires until that point.
Yeah, I mean, turn one always pretty congested, but you throw in those old tires on top of it, and man, it can get very dicey very quickly.
Yeah, just glad that there was no more carnage than there was. I think I came home pretty clean.
Yeah, that 62 machine looking pretty clean at the end of this one, so that's always a good thing when you walk away from Martinsville. But now with Martinsville in the books, Ethan, halfway done in the regular season, you're sitting at pretty good in the points in P number, well, I guess technically now P number 5, but the best car on points without a win. How are you feeling with this first half of this regular season already in the books?
It's good. I think it's the best start I've had to a season. Being the highest with out of wins good, but also, just logging the top fives in. I think I'm on pace for my best season yet. But next week at Coda, what's it, 3.6 miles or something? That's going to take some time to memorize that one. So I'm going to get to work on that immediately.
Yeah, I was going to say, looking ahead next week at Coda, a wild card race for sure. I mean, how you feel about road courses, and especially in the trucks?
My main goal for road courses usually is to just mind my own business, run my race, get out of the way of people who are faster, and just keep it in one piece. I'm not a road course specialist, and I will never claim to be.
Yeah, I always like to say, if I can end up on track facing the right direction by the end of a road course, it is a win in my book.
Exactly. Especially on a track that big, we have not gone to yet here in the red light racing.
Yeah, it should be a fun one to watch. But Ethan, once again, talking to you after a race, huge congrats here at Martinsville, coming up through the field when it mattered there at the end, walking away with another podium. So, Ethan, before we let you go, continue on this great streak. I think, like you said, top fives at least. I'm going to go hand over the mic to you and thank who you got to thank here tonight.
Yeah, thank you for the broadcast and the Turn 3 Racing Network. It's always an awesome job. Everybody here in the league and the admins. Of course, Mike's at home watching, another top three. Of course, shout out to Zach and Hannah, they're watching too, and everybody else who out there watching.
Alrighty, well, awesome stuff, Ethan. Always a great time talking to you. You have yourself a great rest of the night, and yeah, I guess try and do as many laps as you can to get ready for next week at Coda. It should be a wild one.
Yeah, thanks you too. It's like, I don't know, 20 minutes a lap there, so we'll see how much I can get in.
Exactly. Alrighty, Ethan. Have yourself a great rest of the night. Alrighty, folks. That was our third place finisher, Ethan Troutman. Then we head up to our runner-up finisher. This guy wanted to win, came oh so close. It is the 11 of Sean Single. Sean, you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Man, oh man, what a race to the end there. Tell us about your races. It seemed like you had one of the strongest cars, even for only having right sides there after that last stop.
Yeah, one of the things we had, my teammates had tested and we had talked about was taking 2 tires at some point, and it kind of paid off. It came up from 10th into like 3rd. I couldn't really get the best grip in the corner. Then Martinsville, candidly, is definitely not my best track. I never really run well here, so it was nice to put in a top 3 here.
Yeah, I tell you what, to walk away with a top 3 at a tricky track like Martinsville, always a good thing, especially with late race restarts here. And I tell you what, Sean, how tough were those late race restarts on both starting inside, outside, and able to hang on to second from the outside there?
Yeah, it was actually wicked hard. I was trying to get a read on when Dalton was going, but I kept spinning the tires on the restart. Luckily, I was able to hit my braking points pretty well, where I could at least sneak into the inside. Or a couple times I was getting into it with Skelton, been enjoying racing with him as well. So we had a nice little battle there. But yeah, it definitely tough. Definitely glad to bring it home for second place. Nice to get back up to the booth and talk to you up here.
Yeah, as I tell you what, even though you haven't been in the podium spots, let's say, still a pretty good first half of the regular season. You're going into tonight since 6th in points, and tonight definitely helping you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is my third top 5 finish in a row, so definitely feeling good about that. Like, really, really hoping for a good rest of the season. Definitely want to get a win. I think I could have got to Dalton on that last little green-white checker there. I just kind of screwed up turn 1 and 2. So hopefully with this momentum, we can put this together and get a win.
Yeah, hopefully, Sean, is like you said, you've been on the right trajectory the last couple weeks, putting in those top fives, and once you start doing that, it's only a matter of time before you're sitting down on the front stretch. But how you feeling next week as we head to our first road course of the season?
Oh, I feel horrible. Yeah, I haven't even practiced. It's going to be an absolute mess. I have no idea how to run that track. I don't know much about it other than watching it on the TV. So I'm actually kind of dreading that.
Oh man, yeah, it should be a interesting time for the whole field.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty, Sean. Well, for the first time up here in the booth this season, I always like to ask the drivers, what's your sim setup like? Give a little insight to the fans. What do you got for wheel pedals, and maybe what are you looking at?
Yeah, I am running the Fanatec. I can't remember what base this is. The V2, I believe, and then I have the V3 pedals. I have a BMW steering wheel for the Fanatec, and then I'm sitting in a GT Omega rig with looking at a, what is this, 32-inch widescreen. So yeah, it's not bad. Does the job.
Yeah, pretty nice setup there. I always heard the V2 wheelbase was always a very solid one. But yeah, Sean, awesome stuff here tonight. As
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
you said,
It definitely gets the job done.
yeah, as like you said, Sean, if you could have maybe got to Dalton's bumper, you definitely had a shot at it. But awesome job hanging on to second with those two tires. Before we let you go and celebrate the runner-up finish here tonight, I'm gonna go hand over the mic to you and thank who you got to thank, either on the live machine or maybe tuning in at home.
Yeah, I got to thank my mom, my dad, my sister, if she's watching. Hopefully her ankle's feeling a little bit better. Got to thank the guys down at 4X Racing. They really help a bunch with a lot of these races, and they do a lot on the endurance side. So I'm excited to run with them. Got to thank Ryan O'Donnell for the paint too. He's obviously one of the teammates. Just want to give him a shout out there as well. Excited for next week. Got to thank you up in the booth as well, putting this together, making sure that you can we can broadcast these out. So thanks again, and thanks to everyone else who's watching.
Alrighty, Sean. Well, awesome stuff talking with you here tonight after Martinsville. You have yourself a great rest of the night, and hopefully we'll be talking to you a couple more times before the season is on over.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, folks. That was our second place finisher, Sean Singles. We'll wait a second to try and dial up our race leader here. As we'll see if we can get a word from down in victory lane, the 61 machine of Dalton Williamson. Dalton, do you got a copy of Brett the Jet in the booth here?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, man. First win of the season coming at a very tricky track of Martinsville. How are you feeling, and how'd you put it together?
Well, I mean, I know you and Roger know. I mean, excuse my language, but shit, I don't think I really belong up here. I don't really know what to say. I'm not really used to doing interviews on Monday.
As I tell you what, yeah, these cars very difficult to get around this Martinsville Speedway. But Dalton, I think you have a little bit of short track background in you, and I think you do enjoy the short tracks, and I think that definitely came out here tonight to help you with this win.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I picked up there when I was riding behind Sean there for a while when we had that little run, what he was doing, and learned from there. And then I lucked out. I mean, it was unfortunate for Mike, but when Mike got that speeding penalty and I was able to ride behind him there, it helped out quite a bit. So then I picked up what I learned there, and I guess it worked pretty well.
Yeah, that it did. Picking up your first win of the season, locking yourself into these playoffs. I mean, that's got to take a lot of weight off your shoulder, because I think the last time I looked at the points, you were at the cutoff here now that the season is halfway down.
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot of pressure off, you know. I mean, it's my first win ever on Monday, so I mean, it's kind of weird to go into the playoffs this time with a win. So it's definitely relieving, and lots of testing to come, and hopefully we can build from it.
Oh yeah, that is news to me. First win on Monday nights. A huge congrats then from me and the rest of the Turn 3 guys to park it down in victory lane. But Dalton, it wasn't an easy one for you. A lot of restarts there at the end. I mean, how did you keep the field kind of guessing around you, keeping them behind you to not get close to that back bumper?
Just kind of playing in the restart box, I would say. I fired at different spots every time and kind of kept everybody guessing, and lucked out.
Yeah, that you did well. Awesome job. And I got to ask, next week we head to Dakota. How do you feel about that place?
Uh, Probably about the same you feel about it, Brett. I don't really like road courses.
Yeah, it definitely throws an interesting wrench inside of things. But luckily for you, Dalton, don't have to worry about it too much. You're locked into the playoffs, can go out there and at least have some fun with it.
Yeah, for sure. Especially now that I know that, I didn't know where we were going next week, so that's definitely a relief.
Yeah, that it is. As Dalton, awesome job here tonight. I gotta ask, I always love to ask, drivers first time up in the booth or whatnot. What's your sim setup like? What do you got for wheel pedals, and maybe what are you looking at for a little insight for the fans at home?
I got an AccuForce V2. Josh and all the guys at AccuForce do a pretty good job with their company and help me out quite a bit. I got Husenvelt pedals and just your normal, steel chassis.
Well, awesome stuff, Dalton. A pleasure talking to you. I mean, how are things going on the Thursday nights this season?
They're starting to turn around, starting to find some speed again, and I don't know, maybe we'll go after another championship this year.
There you go. Well, best of luck over there. Hopefully you can take some momentum from this Monday night win, transfer it into something good for Thursday night.
I sure hope so.
Yep. Well, Dalton, once again, huge congrats on the win here on the Monday night. Awesome run for you to make your way through the field, walk away with the victory. And of course, I think there's quite a bit of people you got to thank here tonight, either on that 61 machine or tuning in at home.
First and foremost, Turn 3, Brett and Roger for all the broadcasting work you guys do, the series sponsor, Checkered Flag Auto Supply, uh, Josh and Mike for all the hope they do during the week with testing. I did say it's starting to turn around. EPI, big shout out to those guys. They've done a lot of help with me and starting to find speed, and the family and BK Paints and Platinum RV Services. And other than that, I don't think I'm forgetting anything.
Alrighty, Dalton. Well, we'll let you get down here. Continue to celebrate down in Victory Lane here at Martinsville. I'll get wrapped up here in the booth with the post-race stuff, and we'll be over to your pit stall for the after party here tonight.
10-4.
Alrighty, Dalton. Well, you have yourself a great rest of the night, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again here before this season is over.
You too.
Alrighty, folks. That was our race winner, Dalton Williamson, picking up his first win this season, and I guess first career on Monday night. So, got to give him a huge shout out and a huge congrats. As we head on over and run through tonight's finishing results, Dalton Williamson picking up the win. Sean Single will finish second. Rounding out the podium positions goes to the 62 of Ethan Troutman. Fourth will be the 86 machine of James Skelton. Rounding out the top five is the 8 of Zach Mitchell. Bringing it home in sixth will be Sean Butler. Seventh going to William Kirk. 8 will be Eric Johnson, tied with the biggest mover. Ninth is the six car and pole sitter of Chris Hammett. Rounding out the top 10 will be Rob Higgins, also tied with the biggest mover. 11th going to the 3 of Tony Strano. 12th is the 30 of Bob Higgins. 13th is the 17 of Tim Combs. 14th is the 2 of Michael Trevarthen. 15th will be the 01 machine of Richard Murdoch. 16th is Josh Buckley. 17th is Trent Potter. 18th is Brandon Feeney. 19th going to Jeffrey Souza. 20th is Ken Allen. 21st is Max Terriel. And then 22nd going to the 45 of Ben Coltez. As we take a look here, I wanted to see what happened on this white flag lap, so we're going to run it here, but that will wrap it on up for the Claws Up Charters post-race show here tonight at Martinsville. And like I said, folks, this is the halfway point of the regular season, so a lot more pressure going to be put on these drivers for that top 12 by the end of it, as we take a look, see what happened to Richard Murdoch, just getting some help from the 8 machine coming to the checkered flag. So that's what happened back there, but that will do it here tonight for the Checkered Flag Auto Supplies Scrambler Series. Of course, got to give a huge shout out to Checkered Flag, Celeratus Legal, the Feeney Call, and Claws Up Charters. If you want to find out more information, check out the page of Red Light Racing on the Googles. Once again, got to give a huge shout out to all you guys tuning on in here live, tuning on into the replay. You guys have shown some awesome support, given some awesome numbers, and if you want to support Turn 3, just click on the link in the description. That goes to Premier Setups, and they have some really cool stuff. Even if you don't want to buy anything, just click that link, give us a little bit of support, and we greatly appreciate it. Of course, got to give a huge shout out to Premier with their partnership with Turn 3. They've been putting on a lot of great setups, especially on the dirt side. So I've been Brett the Jet in the booth from Turn 3 Racing Network. Be sure to tune into Turn 3 throughout the week, as we have a lot of great broadcasters and a lot of great series, and of course a lot of great sim racing action. Everyone take care, stay safe, and we will catch you next week at the Circuit of the Americas. You won't want to miss it. I've been Brett the Jet, and I just flew by you. Have a good one.